Who can know the mind of God?
I am Jason Muxlow. I've been at Redeemer for about 8 years, I believe now, but only officially in the Catholic Church for about, well, it'll be 5 this September. I was raised in a small farming community in Brown City, Michigan. I first started attending church at a little church called First United Methodist Church. I knew who Jesus was. I knew who the Lord was, and that there was certainly a plan for me. In high school, I kind of started to pull away from the church a little bit, not because of any unbelief, but more because sports and school and work on the farm, everything kind of started to fill up all the time and all the space. But my faith didn't become really personal until my first year of college. That was the year that the movie The Passion came out, and that movie had a very profound impact, seeing what Jesus did for me up on that cross. If he would do that for me, what should I be doing for him? To me, that meant more than an hour on Sunday. That meant giving of my life to him. I had never engaged with the Catholic Church before I met my wife. And I met my wife because I actually asked one of her roommates out on a date. Well, that horribly failed. And I started talking to Molly and realized as I got to know her, I really had asked the wrong girl out. I really should have asked Molly out in the first place. We spent a lot of time together at the Christian group on campus at Kettering. Through those experiences, through getting to know her there, that's how I was exposed to the Catholic Church. She invited me to go to Mass. I invited her to go to my church back home in Brown City. We wanted to experience each other's way of worshiping God. When I went to talk to her mother about asking Molly to marry me, she asked if I was going to become Catholic. And at that point I had said no, the Eucharist being the main stumbling block for me. We were married in 2008 in a interdenominational ceremony in the Catholic Church. Father Steve actually married us. My pastor from my church participated. It was a beautiful ceremony. It was at Holy Family in Grand Blanc. We weren't on the same page yet, but that wasn't going to stop us from trying. We would go to Mass, and then we'd go to the Protestant church service. And that was our Sunday thing. And we kept working through all the differences in our faith and in our beliefs. And again, time and time again, the Eucharist kept coming up as my stumble block. Right as Alpha was starting, Father Steve got a hold of us and said, you two are going to be on Alpha. You're going to be part of the first group. And so we did Alpha. That was amazing. That was a really cool experience. I got to know a lot more people around here. After our first prep weekend for the Holy Spirit weekend, something was really starting to change in me. The Holy Spirit was really starting to move me. I remember walking out of that prep weekend, and just after we had passed the statue of Mother Mary, I heard Satan in my ear say, "That's fine in there what you do, but out here you're mine." There was something particular that I was holding on to that I needed to forgive, and forgiving those family members was so freeing. Molly asked me to go to a Theology of the Body conference. Christopher West was the keynote speaker, and I was caught by what Christopher West was talking about the Mass and why we use real candles and why we have real flowers and just the significance and the beauty of everything in the Mass. And somewhere along the way, I was no longer in that room. I was in a dark, candlelit cathedral by myself. And I looked up and I saw the crucifix, but it wasn't just a crucifix. It was actually Christ hanging on the cross. And I saw him bleeding, and I saw his mother hold the chalice up to his side, and I saw Christ laid out on the altar, and I saw him being held by his mother after he had died. And as I looked about the room, I saw this amazing woven altar cloth being laid down on top of the altar. What I recognize now as my life being put on the altar, because on it was little images of everything I'd ever learned being put on the altar. And I heard the voice of the Father speak to me and say, I've shown you all of this so that I could show you this, and that being his Son being the Eucharist, being that sacrifice. And then it was over. And I was back in the church with a knowledge and a heart broken for the Eucharist, knowing the reality of what that sacrament is. And life's never been the same since.
For he was mighty and done a mighty thing, and holy is his
The Eucharist is real. I was told that numerous times. I had to be broken to hear it. If you're struggling, bring that to Jesus. Just bring it to the cross. Bring it to the altar. Let him show you.
Who was privy to the plans of God, or could conceive what God